What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Serie Addicts. Marco Romano with Tito Yang in the
That's right.
motherfucking house,
That's
bringing you
right.
the recap of Match Day 36 in the Serie A,
Yep.
wrapping things up for the season, getting ready for the World Cup, which should be an interesting tournament if we ever
Unless
get
you're
there. It
Italian.
seems, yeah, at this point. Bar all the crazy shit that can happen, we should have a good tournament, but we still have a couple of matches left in the Serie A season,
Yes,
plus
sir.
the Coppa Italia final taking place tomorrow. But
Oh,
kicking
yeah.
things off with the match of the day at the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, Napoli taking on Bologna. It was a thriller of a match with five
Yeah.
goals scored. Napoli. Unfortunately, being able to get any points in a very contested race for the last couple of Champions League spots.
That's
Obviously,
crazy,
Inter having
though.
secured their spot.
Nobody was
But
expecting that.
Bologna showing up against the now former Serie A champions, now that Inter have been officially
Yeah.
crowned.
Former.
But yeah, definitely an interesting matchup.
Crazy match.
Right of this one, not expected at all for Napoli to drop points against Bologna, especially a Bologna team that haven't been consistent, or at least have disappointed. Let's say with probably the expectations of what we both had moving into this season. They've been up and down, gotten rid of some key players. Have never seemed to get it together, but with results like this, still showing that they do have some good caliber players in their squad.
Incredible shot by Bernardeschi. The first goal by Bernardeschi was just amazing. He got that ball on the edge of the box, or like right
And
inside the
how
box, basically.
nonchalant he was about it, right? He scored that
He,
goal and then
yeah.
turned around like, I do
Boom. It
this
was
every
a
day.
rocket, like a rocket, you know? That wasn't going up or down or nothing. It's just a straight line into the net. Like, just a great shot. And I mean, speaking of great goals, Napoli came back with two goals of their own, pretty good goals as well. But
Well,
at
Di Lorenzo, right, scoring the captain after giving away the pen, which Orsolini put away in the 34th minute to give
yeah,
Bologna the 2-0 lead.
yeah.
But Di Lorenzo quickly making up for it before the end of the first half.
Hmm.
And Alisson Santos, right, one of the bright
Great
spots
goal.
for Napoli
Yeah.
this season and one of the best prospects in the Serie A. Definitely has been a pleasant surprise
Yeah.
for Conte and team.
Yeah, 100%. And then, what how do you not how are you not amazed at the ending of this match, right? Like in the 90 something, 91st probably, like
Saving the
row.
best for last, man.
Yeah,
Literally
what a
last
goal.
minute, right?
What a great
91st
goal.
minute.
Uh-huh.
Jonathan Rowe with the bicycle kick, solid contact,
Incredible.
beautiful goal. Was pretty close to Savic, but nothing for him to do there. The how
Yeah.
hard Rowe hit that ball and how cleanly he hit that ball, nothing for the keeper to
Yeah,
do
he hit
at
it
all.
perfectly. The goalkeeper in that situation, you have to basically wish that they throw it at you. If the ball's going anywhere
Yep.
where you have to move or react, you're not gonna get there because you're not expecting the player to do that. And then when it gets struck so cleanly, there's the ball's moving so fast, so fast. It's really even hard to see it until you realize it's already past you. Great shot.
And heartbreaker for Napoli, right? With how tight the race is for
Oh
those
yeah.
Champions League spots, I still feel that Napoli, obviously, right? They are ahead of the pack when it comes to right the teams that are still in contention, which is
Yeah.
essentially number two to number six on the table. But
Yeah.
if they mess around, those other teams are gunning, right?
I
We'll
mean,
talk
they're
about it,
only
right?
they're only
We'll talk
three
about some of
points
them.
away. They're only 3 points away from the three teams following them. So, like at this point, that shuffle between Napoli, Juve, Milan, and Roma, it's a matter of a one result. You know, it's one result, and there's two games. So I think Juve. I think every game from now on, every game's been a final, but this time, like even more so. Like Juve has a final against Fiorentina, and all these teams are basically facing finals, including Napoli. We thought Napoli at this point would have secured the second spot, right? Based on how the season was going. But
Pretty
instead,
much.
both them and Milan have just fallen off completely.
Yeah, it's literally one match away from dropping out of Champions League
That's
for
crazy.
Napoli,
That's crazy. If Napoli
with
lose the
two
next
matches
match
remaining.
and the other three teams win, they're basically like you could end up out of the Champions League. And how
Yeah,
insane would that be for Napoli after winning the title the season before? Wow.
yeah,
I don't
it's
think that's gonna
crazy,
happen, but
but it's good. It's
possible.
good. It's interesting. Keeps it interesting until the last minute, while we still have one last relegation spot, right? That Lecce and Cremonese are fighting for as
Yeah.
well, right? So it keeps it interesting. We already know that Inter obviously secured the title 2 match days ago, but still a lot to play for a lot of these clubs and for a lot of these players, right? That maybe their club may be getting relegated, or they're playing for pride and to potentially get a better contract, or get signed by
Yeah,
another team.
exactly. Exactly. So I mean, those
But we
people
have
who say, "Oh, there's nothing to play for these teams," like there's always something to play for. If not for the teams, then for the players.
absolutely, yeah, and it's even more dangerous because they give it all. They try things that they're not used to trying on a regular basis. So
Exactly. Exactly.
that's why we may be seeing some of these results from like a Bologna team,
Yeah.
right? That has been pretty
Unless
lackluster.
unless you're in one of those situations where you are at a point of the season where you don't give a shit anymore, and that seems to be the case with the next match that we're supposed to talk about, which is Atalanta Milan. Like, what the hell's
Yeah,
going on with Leao at this point of the season? He doesn't look like he is having a
it's
great
crazy,
time.
right? Former MVP, amazing player, but this year, just you just gotta put it out there. He sucked for Milan,
What is he doing?
right? He's supposed to be the go-to, the star in the squad. Pulisic seemed to grab those reins earlier in the season, right, with some help from Rabiot. Rabiot,
He's dropped off too.
since joining, has been awesome, and Modric has also played fairly consistent, which we would expect from a veteran like Modric. But
Yeah.
just their Milan's offense has been terrible. I think they scored one goal, or well, they scored twice against Atalanta late, too little, too late. But I
Yeah.
think before then they had only scored one goal in their last 6 matches, something like that. It was crazy, the terrible run that Milan have been in, and nothing changed moving into this one. Atalanta just came out guns blazing.
Yeah.
Ederson kicking things off with a goal in the 7th minute. Then Zappacosta, the veteran, doubling up for Atalanta. And Raspadori's goal moving into the second half, that third, for Atalanta, to put Atalanta up 3-0. He never should have beaten Magnan on the first post like he did on that one. Pretty surprising for not only a keeper that has won the best goalkeeper in Serie A recently, but also the starting goalkeeper for the French international team as well. It was pretty surprising, losing 2-0 to Atalanta at home after the stress you've been in, and you can see the goal in that fashion.
Yeah.
And apparently, the Curva felt the same way I did watching what was transpiring, because they
Yeah.
proceeded to empty the stands. The Curva completely left, and it was eerie. You felt the
It
silence,
was sad.
no
I
choruses,
felt
no
bad for the
chants,
players. I felt
aside
bad.
from the not the regular fans that were still in the stadium, and even them were
They were
whistling at
whistling.
the team for how bad they were playing.
Yeah, man,
They
but
did a little bit of display. The Curva did as well, some choreography with a message for Furlani to get out, which is right behind me. But one of the most impressive and interesting things that I've seen this season is what took place during this Milan match, and the Curva. And rightfully so. They've just been terrible. They've been in a terrible run. They're potentially, they can miss out on the Champions League for next season, which would be huge for the club, a huge blow. And you're
but
not getting
they
any
scored
trophies
twice.
this
Like
year
even in
either.
this game, right? This game was like they just they just didn't come out the gates properly, right? They're completely lost in the first half. When you take away Luka Modric from this midfield, there's not a lot of creativity left. I think that was one of the problems that Juve had when they had Rabiot in the midfield. He's a solid, he's a solid role player, and he can get some stops and stuff. But he's not the type of player that's gonna be very creative with his passing, or he's gonna be
Yeah,
unlocking
but that's
defenses.
not his game, right? He's a
That's what I'm
box to
saying.
box
But
player. You expect him to
when they're
control.
missing Luka Modric, they don't have that player that's gonna be unlocking the
I,
defenses.
I
And
think
then
it's
the other
still with the
thing is
players that they have,
the
they could
formation
have
that
done
they're
more.
using, doesn't favor wing play. And that's why I feel like Leao
Yeah,
will not, you'll never get the best out of Leao playing in that formation. It's impossible. And when you think, you're saying like, even without Luka Modric, with the players they have, but if you look at the midfield that they put out, it was basically five midfielders, which two of them are Selemakers and Bartesaghi on the wings, who are not really midfielders, right? They're like attacking wing backs. And then you have Loftus Cheek, Samuel Ricci, and
who the
Adrian
cheeks?
Rabiot, which, Ricci is a decent player, but he's not Modric, obviously. Loftus Cheek, I think he's overrated. He's been overrated since, even when he was in England, he was overrated, as a lot of Premier League players are. And you see that as soon as they come to other leagues, and they're not that big of a deal. You do have players that are like
Yeah,
very
but
classy,
still,
but
with the players that you have, Milan, for me, and it was one of the
I
most
think
disappointing
Atalanta
things.
has better players in
I
the
I, I
midfield,
would be calling
Marcus.
it out.
If you look at it,
Yeah, but it's not
you
the
know,
midfield. Like it's up front. And if
that's
I
where
would have
you win the
seen,
match, though.
if I would have seen Lautaro exit the
Inter's
game
champion
in
because of the
with
midfield.
everything going around, and be so nonchalant about it, and not and just actions speak louder than words. Just
I don't
literally
think they were nonchalant. I think
acting like.
Leao, not the team, not the
Yeah,
whole
that's
team.
what I saw. I saw the match. I clearly saw when he was taken out how he was walking
Leao
like
was.
nothing. When they put him on the screen and the dub out afterwards, I could clearly see it. Props
Leao
to
was, but not the
Nkunku,
rest of the team.
props to
That's what I'm saying.
Nkunku and Fulkrug, who came on and actually did well. Fulkrug probably should have at least 2 assists in this match. He completely changed the game, him and Nkunku, when they came in. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like you said that the guys had a slow start. No, they took off their star players, and the players that came in turned the game around and started doing a lot better for Milan. So,
But they
but
did
it
have a
was
slow
again,
start.
it was
Like
kind of
Milan just
crazy,
never
crazy
came out the
situation.
gate. Like if you think about it, like Milan actually had more shots attempted, right, than Atalanta. They shot 9 times on goal. Atalanta only shot 5 times on goal. But a lot of those shots were in the second half. That's why I'm saying there weren't a lot of changes that were made at halftime. The changes started coming in the 58th, right? That's when Jimenez and Leao came
Yeah.
out.
Yep. So Raspadori scored in the 53rd minute. Then the Curva exited the
Yeah,
stadium. It was
that's when
like
he
three,
subbed
four
people
minutes
out.
after that when
That's what it
they
took.
made the subs. Allegri made the subs, and things started to change around a little bit. But yeah, definitely Milan need to wake the fuck up because they're at risk of missing out on the Champions League
Yeah,
after being in a great position to close out the season and secure their spot
yeah,
in the UCL for next season. Now you got some hungry teams chasing after them in Como, Roma, who are getting results
yep.
and still have 2 games left, right? So it's all in the air from the second spot on the table to the sixth spot. Anything's up in the air as far as who is going to qualify. But I would say that right now things are not looking good for Milan. I
No.
feel that every other team that is contending for those spots are in better form than they are. So
And
they
also,
have 2 matches to wake up and get some results.
yeah. Also, massive respect to Atalanta and what the job that Palladino has done since he came on. Because if
Absolutely.
you think if
Yeah.
Palladino has started the season with this team, they might be in contention for a Champions League spot. They're still in contention
Probably
for a
in the
European
second
place,
spot right now, more
and
than
they would
likely.
be in a really, like, if you look at the stats, right? Like they would have a really good record if you just take the games since Palladino joined. You know,
Yeah.
but he's done a great job with his team, and I like the style of play. I like the way these guys players playing. Um,
He's
Obviously,
resurrected some players like Stamaka, who
yeah,
was non-existent
they
until
have to
Palladino
work
took
on their
over.
defense though, right? Because they do seem to allow quite a bit of, the goals, but they're an attacking team and an entertaining team, and they're always fun to watch. So I'm glad to see them doing well. And I was surprised by this result, but at the same time, this was one of the matches that we talked about in the last episode
Yeah.
where we ex-
Well, we
we
could
could see
easily
it.
see Atalanta winning. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we
We
saw
kind
it.
of saw it coming with Milan's form. Atalanta had been playing well,
Yeah,
right? Still with a shot, right? Because if Inter win the Coppa Italia final tomorrow, Atalanta would qualify for European competition.
yeah.
So,
And the Coppa
so there.
Italia, that's a perfect segue for the next match we're talking about because it's a repeat of this
Yeah,
match.
it was a preview of the Coppa Italia final. Inter facing Lazio. Obviously, Inter with no pressure, already
Zero
securing the
pressure.
Scudetto. A lot
Yep.
of changes in the lineup in the starting 11 from Kivu, and rightfully so, in preparation for the actual matchup against Lazio that we care about, which is that
Right.
final taking place tomorrow in Rome, home territory for Lazio and company. But a great performance by Inter. They were playing very well, playing together as a team. You could tell that there was no pressure. Starting off with a great assist and goal, Turan to Lautaro Martinez, getting on the score sheet fairly early. Yeah, for the second goal, nice touch pass to Sucic. Beautiful goal. He's been playing awesome.
That
Other
was a
than
great shot.
Akanji, I would say probably the second best signing this season for Inter.
Yeah.
Very young, very talented player, potentially that long-term replacement for Brozovic, who did awesome at Inter
Yeah.
as well. I think Sucic is a little bit better offensively and
So
more technical with the ball
would
at his
you
feet, but
would
he's
you
been
agree
playing
with
awesome.
me that would you agree with the I mean, I guess my opinion that Inter, when you look at the signings that they made this season, summer and in the winter break, they they probably should get the best grade when it comes to the transfer market. I think like they were the ones who got the most amount of players that were helpful to their cause this season. You know.
I would say because and I know I've criticized right the hell out of Luis Enrique. So as a lot of have a lot of people, I felt Diouf at the beginning was kind of like a meh signing. Like what is he going to bring to the team? But he actually is very creative and very good
And
taking
yeah,
on
it's
defenders
depth.
one on one.
Yeah.
So heading into the off season, you may have a point because heading into the off season, the players that if I'm Inter, I would be moving away from. None of them are signings that they made this season, right? They're
Yes.
gonna re-sign Akanji, right? I think they obviously Sucic. I think is a great long-term prospect for Inter in the midfield.
Boni was a great
Diouf
pickup.
Diouf has felt awesome. Boni, right? Had a couple of key matches. Granted, dealt with a couple of injuries, but you can
Yeah.
tell he's big, he's fast, he's great with the ball at his feet.
Yep.
Has like fucking size 24 freaking shoes when he's on the pitch, looking like freaking Bob Patiño
Akanji,
when
one
he's
of the
playing.
signings of the season, along with Malen.
Akanji has
Akanji
been the
being
most
great.
consistent player in Inter's back line,
Yeah.
right? So I
And then
think,
this
right?
one is not a signing, but also who you don't sign says a lot about how you manage the market. And giving Pio Esposito chances instead of
Yeah.
sending him to go to like a shit team to play, I think was a very smart move. And that's the reason why Esposito ended up being in the national team. Because if they had sent him somewhere else to play, like his brother's not in the national team, and he's a pretty decent player as well.
Yeah,
But having
he's
Pio,
playing awesome
yeah, and
at
giving him
Cagliari.
chances at Inter and in the Champions League, that's how you create new talent for Italy. Like you not sending them over to Nottingham Forest so they could sit on the bench and eat bangers and mash, you
And
know?
and you gotta give props to Kivu, right? Because Kivu pushed for that. He played
Yeah.
under the Primavera squad with under Kivu, right? Same with Boni. Kivu brought money from Parma. So you gotta give Kibu his props. The other player that he really wanted was Lukman. Obviously, ended up going to Atletico Madrid.
Yeah,
I can understand Atalanta wanting to him to go to Inter and
of
add to what we
course.
already had.
Yeah.
But that would have helped, right? He was trying to make some changes in the formation and how Inter play. So, but I think again, like to what we were saying earlier, I don't feel that any of the players that they brought in this season are going to be on their way out. I think Fratesi, Ryan Mkhitaryan, Debray, Acerbi, potentially Sommer, right? These are players that have been in Inter for a while that have just
Yeah.
right. It's their time. They gave us literally everything they had. Glad for Mkhitaryan because he also scored in this goal in
What
this
about
match against
Dumfries?
Lazio.
What is his situation?
Dumfries is another one. He has a. For me, it's crazy that nobody last season, before the start of this season, triggered his $25 million release clause. Because for a player like Dumfries, you would think, and how much money
Yeah.
clubs
He's a
spend
right back.
for players. Like he's solid defensively. He's awesome moving forward, attacking, crossing the ball with headers, set
Yeah.
pieces.
Attacking the
Like
box, he's insanely good.
he's a great player. It's gonna be interesting. I hope that he stays because that'll give Luis Enrique the opportunity to continue to develop. I think that he has some potential. I think we just kind of threw him under the fire this season, meaning Inter, not me. But with Dumfries going down, right, he became immediately the go-to option from the beginning, and with a club where you have the expectations like Inter
Yeah, it's
have,
not easy. It's
it's
not
not
easy.
easy.
Sometimes it
Not
takes a
easy.
little bit of growing into the role, like, and I think Luis Enrique had his ups and downs, but he he came up in some games where it was needed that he came up, and he was good at covering the spot while they recovered Dumfries. So, I mean, again, it doesn't
But
seem like
he's
have
one.
affected Inter
But
too
he's
much.
one that if he goes on loan somewhere next season, I wouldn't be surprised. I hope that it doesn't happen. Obviously, it's going to depend a lot on what happens with Dumfries, Carlos
Yeah.
Augustos. There's been rumors as well. He's not put pen to paper on his contract extension yet. I know Roma are very keen on him. I hope
Sopolato.
he also stays, Sapolato Neves, because he's a very like useful player in the same lines. Not as great as McKennie, where you could play him anywhere on the pitch, literally,
Yeah,
but he can plug a lot of holes within this Inter squad and the way that they play. He understands the different players, where he needs to be, who he needs to cover, and he
absolutely.
can play different positions very, very well. But
Yeah.
easy win for Inter. Again, just a warm up
Beautiful
going
goals
into
too.
the
Like,
Coppa Italia
the
final.
first goal was just an amazing team play, like a one touch football, a nice service from Turan to Lautaro. Lautaro doing what he does best. Like, it was an enjoyable watch. I know that Romagnoli made it hard for Lazio since the start of the game, basically by getting ejected very early. Um, but apart from that, Inter was basically
Yeah,
completely
well,
in
Inter were
control of it.
already in cruise control at
Yeah,
that
and
point.
they were
I
playing
think
really
that's where
well.
they kind of let their foot off the gas a little bit after that. But solid performance, right? And I get it; they don't want players to get injured, not only
Yeah,
with the final coming up, but with the World Cup coming up, right? We have players that are fresh out of injuries, like Lautaro,
yeah.
which is crazy with all the games he's missed this season. Still at the top of the list for the Capa Caminera this season,
It
and
doesn't
potentially
seem to
let's
have
see
lost a
if
step because he came back from the injury, started
nah,
scoring again
he's
immediately.
still solid. He's still solid. He's still
Yeah,
the
one
captain,
of the best
leading by
players in the league right
example.
now.
But he's potentially going to be the capo this season, and let's see. It's going to be interesting to see if Di Marco wins the MVP, right? With
Yeah,
breaking the record in assists for a Serie A season, still with a couple of matches to go, and
yeah,
scoring some pretty nice goals. Has taken a little bit of a dip for the end of the season. I think he's just spent from the amount of games that he's played throughout and all the different tournaments. But he's had an awesome season, and for me, right,
record breaking. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. I think he even got a tattoo of the Scudetto. I think it's more because of right, what he was able to achieve more than just winning another Scudetto with Inter. Because when I saw the tattoo, I'm like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get one every freaking time you win?
This is the last time you guys win though, because you were gonna win
Oh
next
yeah,
season,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
start the
yeah,
new. We're
yeah,
gonna start a new cycle. And also you're gonna get sent to Serie B for like choosing your referees. That's a different story.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Anyways, so next
everybody's
match,
hoping and wishing for that, but no.
next match,
You
like
want you want to
so.
talk about Cremonese and Lecce?
Yeah, of course. That's like the relegation battle is what
Yeah.
what was going on right there.
Cremonese is ass whooping over Pisa. Finally getting a win, Cremonese, right?
Yeah,
3
they
0
needed it.
victory over Pisa. Very
Yep.
much needed, still in the battle for that last relegation spot
Emphatic
with
win for
Lecce.
Cremonese
Right,
on that one.
Verona and Pisa unfortunately already sealed
Relegated.
the deal. It's done. They're down to
Yep.
Serie B next season, but that's the battle at the bottom of the table between those two clubs. But that it should be very interesting and can lead to some very interesting matchups up until the last match day. Not only to
Yeah.
determine the Champions League spots, but to see who's going to be the third club that gets relegated down to Serie B next season.
Yeah, these two match days, the last two match days are just gonna be amazing because there's so many races that are still to be decided. The Scudetto's done, it's been done, right? But the UCL top four, it's five. There's three spots for four teams, right? Five teams, you count Como. So it's Napoli, Juve,
Now you
Milan,
got to
Roma,
count
and
Como. Como is
Como.
still in it as
They
well.
could all still be in it. Like there could be a situation. I mean, I don't think it'll happen. But if Napoli lose the next two matches, they could end up fifth. That's I mean, nobody would have thought that a couple weeks ago. And now that's the way it is. Juve were able to beat Lecce by the narrowest of margins, 1-0 with a great goal by Dusan Vlahovic in the 12th second of the match. It was a great start. I like that Juve sometimes start the matches when they have the ball with like a NFL type play. They all line up in a single line with like a guy at the back, like he's a quarterback, and then they pass it back to that guy. Everybody just runs forward. That's actually the play they did in this match, which they ended up scoring because they threw a Hail Mary to Cope Miners, who was able to keep the ball, who kicked it out to Cambiaso, and Cambiaso put the cross in for Vlaovic, who had a delicious first touch, getting
Yeah,
rid of the defender
great control.
with his control, and then he just put it in where the keeper couldn't reach. Great
Yeah,
goal by Vlahovic. I love having him back because he's an actual number 9. Jonathan David, as much effort as he puts in, and he's trying to do his best, he is too short and too fat to play like that. And Vlahovic
he
is
likes
different.
pasta too much.
I think so. I
Well,
think maybe
you ask about Inter's, right? If the grade for Inter's signings this season. You mentioned Jonathan David. What about Juve's signings for this season?
US signings for the season were garbage. I mean, there's a couple of signings I liked. Emil Holm and Jeremy Boga. They both came in. Also, I love Edon Zagrova. I thought getting Zagrova for 15 million is a steal
Yeah,
because for the technical level that player, he's a special player.
yeah.
Anybody could
He's
steal
a
him.
weapon. He's a
You
weapon.
know exactly. You bring him off the
For
bench and defenders get
15,
scared,
25
bro.
minutes,
Yeah, he's a
he's a
monster.
problem.
So I think that I love Edon Zagrova. I like Emil Holm a lot. I don't know that we're gonna keep him for the amount of money that his riscatto is set for because it's kind of high for him right now at the level he's at. But we might be able to keep him if for some reason Bologna want to keep Joao Mario. Is it Bologna or Genoa? Bologna. Um, and so it depends. Like if we're able to shove Joao Mario down their throats and they'll give us a discount on home, I would love to keep home, but that's a straight up loan. That's a problem. So we don't know if we're keeping
Yeah,
him. Jeremy Boga, same thing. We have a
that's another
right.
steal.
We have
Yeah,
a
that's
right
a
to
steal.
acquire him, but he's so cheap for the
Yeah,
level that he
that's a
brought
steal.
and for the impact he had. Great, great
And to
move
have a backup if
for
Yildiz
Yildiz.
goes down,
Yeah.
to have a backup of that quality
Yeah,
That's a no brainer. Should be a no brainer
definitely.
for you.
But Jeremy, sorry, Lois Openda, on the other hand, for the amount of money we're paying for him, was a total bust. One of the worst signings
Yeah,
of
I
the
thought he was
entire
gonna be a lot
season.
better. I don't know. Like I kind of believed the hype coming from Germany.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh
but
no, you saw his card in FC. Oh, he was amazing. But the
yeah, look,
thing is,
FC, whatever.
you know, he's not that. Like he's shown that he's just not it. You know,
Yeah, he's
um,
not a good fit. At Juve, he's definitely not a good
not
fit.
a good fit. And I think the
I think he
formation
would
has
be
a
a
lot to
way
do
better
with
chef
it.
if Vlahovic would have played more matches for sure, because you definitely need a player with his skill set up front.
Yeah, yeah. I think if we would have had Vlahovic for the entire season, we might be having a very different conversation. Like in terms of Europe, I think Juve would have already been qualified. But
Yeah.
we
That's
didn't
where I
know.
had him at the beginning of the season,
No, but
finishing
honestly, I
seventh.
thought
They
Vlahovic.
still may get there.
Yeah, Vlahovic, I thought was gonna leave in the Christmas market. Like I thought he was leaving in the January transfer market. That's why I didn't rate them so
Yeah,
high.
but
But
I think this season has shown, and sometimes it's funny because it's the player's absence that actually proves his value
yeah,
sometimes,
it's true.
and
It's
then
true.
coming back and scoring in back-to-back matches.
Yeah, and
Beautiful
the
free
goals
kick in the
and
last
the
one,
goals he
and
scored exactly.
immediate goal in this
Yeah,
one to open
yeah.
things up.
Both goals are like, look at the skill I have. That's the type of goals he scored. You know what I mean? It's not. It's like basically both these goals were like Jonathan David can't do this. That's what he's basically telling us, right? And he got two other goals ruled out in this match. So he was like on point for this game. But the rest of the team, we you could tell when we don't have Turam in the midfield, we also lose a lot of offense because Locatelli, he makes a lot of passes, but they're like sideways passes or he passes it back. There was a point in the match where I was watching them and I wanted to throw my shoes at the TV because I was like, if fucking Locatelli makes another fucking pass to Lloyd Kelly, I'm gonna choke
He's
somebody.
heating up.
And he's like, bro, how many times Locatelli grabs the ball and he just passes it to Kalulu, Lloyd Kelly, or Bremer is nauseating. Like, you have three players behind you, and there's 10 players on the pitch, right? If you're not counting the goalkeeper. And you got three players behind you, and you find them, but you can't find the seven fucking players in front of you? Like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, I don't understand that. Like, again, that's why my main complaint about this team is we use Locatelli as a regista. He's terrible, but we don't have another option. But we already discussed that, so I'm not gonna get into that. What
He's your favorite player. You can
he
tell.
sucks. He's really bad. He's really bad.
Listen, the
Like,
good thing is you only have to worry about Locatelli until 2020, until 2030.
listen, if we get somebody that can play that position, and Locatelli can move to a mezzala type role where he doesn't have the keys to the midfield, I think he could be a good contributor coming off the bench, but not. He shouldn't be a starter at one of the best teams in the world, like or the top teams in the world, because it's not hasn't been the
I think
best
Locatelli
since
has good
2013.
intentions. He just doesn't have the skill set to do what
He
is
doesn't have the
trying to do. I think.
personality. When you play in that position, you gotta be a tough guy. He is not a tough guy. He's a very like you just look at the way he walks. You know what I mean? Like look at him when he's not playing. Just look at the way he walks. Like
Burn.
nobody's afraid of Locatelli. I've said it before. There isn't a single midfielder in the Serie A who's afraid of Locatelli. You know who they're afraid of? Frank Sambo Anguissa. They're afraid of Rabiot. They're afraid of people like that. You know what I mean? Like nobody's scared. So people are scared to go against maybe Cristante or somebody like that. Not Locatelli. Nobody's scared of Locatelli. Nobody. But you know what?
Yeah.
He I he gets props before McKennie gets props. And that's where I get pissed. Because like these two dickheads from the Italian football podcast, and I gotta say it, like
Burn.
Carlo Garganese and that Nima Tala, whatever
He's
his
on
fucking last name
fire.
is. Uh so they were doing this like keep and sell shit that they do in their shorts. And what I don't respect is that I put a
wait, time out, time out. So they were doing a short, like a video that they were talking about which players they would keep and which they would sell within their own club.
Well, yeah, they were talking about Juve, and they're basically doing keep or sell with Juve's players. So they would give the guy a Juve player, and he would say whether he would keep him or not. And they went through the whole roster. And when McKennie came up, he said, "Send him back to Texas." And I was like, "You are fucking stupid." And I commented,
more than welcome in Milano. We will take McKennie all day, any day.
"No, just
Literally,
take Carlo
he's like
Garganese,
a
please.
duct
Just
tape.
take
Like,
that dickhead. We don't want him." He basically he says he sent McKennie back to Texas. Like, I would send you to Texas, motherfucker. Like, not McKennie. McKennie should stay at Juve until 2030, which is why they renewed his contract. So you're gonna tell me you know more than Spalletti? Spalletti wants to keep McKennie above anything else, but you,
I feel
a
any
journalist,
diehard Juventino would tell them would tell him to fuck off to Texas.
he exactly. But that's the
You're
problem
talking
with these
about the
journalists,
second
bro.
best player for Juventus this season,
Yeah,
who saved Juve's ass a bunch of
yeah.
times.
And
Got a ton of results.
behind Vlahovic and Kenan Yildiz, McKennie is the third highest scorer
Blame.
on the team, and he's a
Other
midfielder.
than
In the last 3
goalkeeper,
seasons,
what position didn't McKennie play this season other
yeah,
than goalkeeper?
I think goalkeeper and maybe center back, but he's played every other position on the field. That's the thing.
Agreed.
Like a player like that, that's who you want to send back. That's why Italy doesn't qualify for the World Cup, because the problem is that these people control the narrative. These journalists, these shithead journalists control the narrative. People like Carlo Garganese and Camilo De Michelis, those little bratty bitches who have never actually
Fuck
played
you,
the
whoever the
sport,
fuck you are. I have no
they
idea.
suck. They want to criticize and they want to put pressure on players. Like a lot of these pressure that comes from the press that the players feel comes from these little dorks who have never kicked the ball in their lives, who want to tell other people how to feel about players that put in so much effort every fucking day in practice. But this asshole journalist who just sits in his fucking office looking at shit and being snobby about it, they want to put pressure on these athletes. Like, this has got to stop. We got to stop listening to these dorks because they're
Call him
just
out. Call him
dorks.
out.
I'm calling them out.
Listen,
Like,
what's
and
the
then
name of the
they
channel?
erase
We
the
Kick Balls.
comments.
Somebody
I
needs
told
to
them.
kick them in the balls.
Yeah,
like that's not a hot take. That's
Yeah.
just a fucking dumbass take.
That's a stupid
An
take.
idiotic. I have no clue. No, I'm the worst judge of football
Exactly.
take ever.
And then you
That
say
is just
that,
terrible.
and you say that, and they delete your comment. You tell them that it's a ridiculous take, and they
Fuck
delete your
'em.
comment.
Fuck them.
Bro, they're such
Fuck 'em.
dorks.
Fuck 'em both.
Anyway, I like Gianni Balzarini,
with a
and I like
Texas twang.
I like Romeo Agresti, you know, and Sandro Sabatini, and some people, but they're Italian,
Applause
right?
for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know who you guys you are.
They're journalists, like, one is on Corriere della Sera, and the other one does Mediaset and stuff like that. But they got good podcasts. They're in Italian though, so maybe these people can't listen to these podcasts, and so they can't get informed, right? Because I don't know if they speak Italian. I would assume somebody called Carlo Garganese speaks Italian. Otherwise,
some
like,
announcers
the fuck
that
is
I
he
watch on
doing?
TV, and I'm like seriously, you couldn't get a motherfucker that can speak English and actually know Serie A, that is not stumbling and mumbling every two fucking words that
Yeah,
come
but
out of his mouth. I'm
listen, I don't have a
like,
problem with
first,
that.
how much do you get paid to do that shit?
I don't have a
Second, like, do you even go? Like, they pay your travels to go to Italy to watch the games and hang
They
out
do.
at the stadiums, and you
They
don't
do.
even know how to fucking talk the language? Because listen,
But
even
I
if
don't
you're
mind if it's a
you're
player,
great,
though. If it's a
when you
player,
can't
it's okay.
articulate and communicate your
You know?
thoughts properly.
But
who gives a
sometimes it's
shit?
a player, and that's fine if it's a player. Just don't give me one of these dorks. Just don't give me one of these dorks who can't play, but they can't speak. So if you're a dork and you can't play, but you can speak, fine. But if you're one of those dorks who can't play and can't speak, like that Goofy dude, like there's like Matteo Bonetti, what's his name? Sounds like Goofy. like when he's commenting the games. He, and he wants to pronounce like overpronounce all the Italian words. And he's a dork, but he's kind of okay. I don't hate him. You know what I
It's
mean?
funny
But
because I immediately knew
you
who you were
you know
talking
who
about
I'm
when you
talking
said
about. I
Goofy.
just gotta say he sounds like Goofy, and you
It
know who
doesn't
I'm
help
talking
it that
about.
he's fucking tall as well.
He kind of looks like Goofy too, but he doesn't look like a bad person. You know what I'm saying? Like
No, no,
he likes to
I've heard him, and
overpronounce Italian
I heard
things.
him in a game talking about something we talk about all the time, which is the how Italy they need to change the style that they play, the fucking
Yeah,
formations that
yeah, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
wants to put on the pitch, how that impacts the some of the better players that they have on the pitch, right? We
Yep.
talked about it with
At least he
wingers, like
knows what he's
the
talking
lack
about.
of fucking wingers. Why is the Premiership more entertaining? Because all the good teams have
Wingers.
very good fucking wingers.
Yeah.
You have Doku, you have Salah, you have so many freaking creative players that
Yeah.
have the freedom, play the position that they're meant to play in,
Yep.
and can score goals and create havoc up
Yeah.
front for teams.
Exactly. It's what we said last time. Is Messi, Neymar, Vini Jr. wouldn't play Rodrigo, they wouldn't play in the Serie A. They
Yeah,
like
it's
they
like
wouldn't
you don't
play
fit our
them.
style of play and
You
our
don't feel like
formation.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Which
Yeah,
is
no,
what they used to do to
it's
people
bullshit.
like Del Piero in the national team because it's like, oh, sorry, we can't come up with a formation where you and Totti
No,
can
they
both
did
play at
against
once.
Germany. We
So we're
still got a
gonna
pretty
bench
good
you.
goal.
It's like what? What? Like
But listen,
that's the
everybody
problem.
remembers that goal against Germany.
Obviously,
The assist
especially
from
especially
Gigi Aquino.
Germans. Especially
Yeah,
Germans.
yeah.
He
Beautiful,
had some Germans
beautiful. But
crying on that game.
just going through some of the other results in this match day, Torino played against Sassuolo.
Yep.
2-1 victory for Torino, who
That's
have been in a
surprising.
good run, especially Giovanni Simeone. Glad that he got on the score sheet again.
That's a good
Has
player.
been kind of turning it around after a kind of rocky start to the season, but I would say
Yeah.
it's for Torino, the entire club, not just for Simeone.
Yeah, and it was
But
coaching changes too on that team,
and
so
against a solid team in Sassuolo, who have been doing very well under Grosso, right? A team
that's
that
right.
just got promoted to the Serie A, staying in the Serie A for next season, and I love it because I love to
Grande
see.
Fabio
We talked
Grosso
about the veterans,
Pescarese, uno di noi.
right? We talked about Berardi, we talked about
Sì.
Lariante. They have
Yep.
some very good players. So good team, so a good win for Torino against Sassuolo, even though they were just essentially playing for pride at this point.
True.
Udinese, another solid team that we've talked a ton about throughout this season, right? We hope that they can keep some of the good prospects that they have. They're very physical, they're fast, they're strong, they're
Yeah.
young, right? So good win against Cagliari, right? We were talking earlier about the other Esposito brother. For me, it's been impressive to see how much of an impact he's having and how much of a leader he is on this Cagliari side.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to seeing how he continues to develop and maybe he potentially comes back to Inter one
And
day
they were
and
able to
play
avoid
alongside
relegation
his
too.
brother.
Great, great. So for them, it's a good result. Um, from a Cagliari perspective, the thing about Udinese and Torino, and some of these mid-table teams, like but particularly Genoa under De Rossi, Bologna under
Yeah,
Italiano,
love how
these
they play under
teams,
De Rossi.
Sassuolo, Torino, they are entertaining to watch. Udinese,
Yeah,
like so
Udinese is
even if
fun to
they're
watch.
not qualifying for European football and they're stuck like in the middle of the tables, these matches are still fun because each one of these teams have very entertaining players and very good talent in the mat, like in their squads. So it's still very fun to watch some of these matches, even though, as we said, they might not matter for the standings, but all of these players have something to prove and they're playing for the next
Yeah,
contract. So it's nice to see these teams and nice to see them get a little bit of consistency because they all had rocky starts, Atalanta,
yeah.
Sassuolo, Udinese, particularly Lazio, but still a lot of decent players and very, very fun to actually watch the matches because they play open ended football and they really go at it. Udinese particularly. Um,
Yeah, but one team that has been pretty consistent throughout the entire season and were my dark horse at the beginning of the season. I had them finishing up fifth, and they're currently in sixth, fighting for a potential Champions League spot next season still, is Como, and Como played against Verona, who are
Yeah.
on their way down to Serie B. Great goal from Dubicas. It was a harder matchup than expected. I thought Como would get a couple of goals
Yeah.
past Verona, but it was Dubicas who essentially manhandled a defender for Verona to control a ball in the box and just put it past the goalkeeper. Another player for Como that has been playing amazing this season. Going to be interesting to see what happens with him moving into next season and with Como overall, right? Playing awesome under Fabregas. We were talking about these teams that are very fun to watch because of the players and the talent that they have. Como,
Yeah.
on the other hand, are it's because of the style of football that they play under Cesc Fabregas, which
That's facts.
we've talked a lot about how we want that to hopefully, right, be
Catch on.
contagious and
Yeah.
spread a little bit throughout the Serie A. You talked about potentially seeing some Spanish managers more Spanish managers come to the Serie A. They seem to do pretty well,
Yeah.
and I think that may start right that change that we need in the Serie A, not only in the Serie A, but I think that will trickle over to the national team as far as the style of play as well.
I agree.
What I would want to see from Como again, they don't have any Italian players, right? It's mainly veterans, savvy veterans, and younger players from Spain, primarily on loan, that come and join Como. But Fabregas has got a good thing going. It's going to be interesting to see how long he lasts at Como before somebody just makes him an offer he
I think
just
it's gonna
can't
be this
refuse.
summer, bro. But let's see.
It may be. I would still give Fabregas some time. Also, we know that more than likely Nico Bass is gonna be at Madrid next season, but it's gonna be interesting to keep an eye on what happens with him. One of the best prospects for the last two seasons in the Serie A,
Playing really
and
well.
consistently able to get it done this season as well. Which is right. It's not a hey, you were good one season kind of deal, right? I would say McTominay took a little bit of a dip this season from his MVP season last year. I think Nico Bass has been solid and consistent in the way that he's performed at Como for the past two seasons under
Yeah.
Fabregas.
But listen, I think at a minimum, Como is already kind of going to Europe, right? Because Atalanta cannot
Yeah,
overtake them.
yeah,
So at a
yeah.
minimum conference league, they're gonna get that sixth
Yeah,
spot.
but
Unless
that money's
Lazio,
different.
unless
That Champions League money's
unless hold
different.
on, unless Lazio beat Inter. If Lazio beat Inter, then Lazio's taking a spot, and then Como is out. So still,
Why do you have to put that energy out there, bro? Like, why can you be like all of Atalanta
we
and
never know.
just root for us?
Yeah, I know. Atalanta is rooting for you guys 100%, but we'll see. I mean,
Listen,
even
hopefully
Atalanta,
Inter get the dub. We'll see Atalanta in Europe next season as well because we want Atalanta to be in Europe. They're an awesome team as well. I would want Como. Selfishly, I want Milan to be the one that 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 gets booted out. But two matches left to go. It can happen. And right
yeah,
now, all of the other teams contending for those spots are in better form, in my opinion. But Como may end up where I had him in fifth at the beginning of the season, may end up even better, which would be extremely surprising, even though I was kind of, I put a lot of faith in him and them and Fabregas. But
that's
I would
true.
love to see Como continue to progress, just to also see with if they do qualify for the Champions League or even European competition next season, how much does the actual management and ownership invest right in maintaining some of the good players that they have, young talented players that they have, keep them longer term, but also what else they're able to bring in. Definitely an awesome destination to go play. In the matchup where they played against Inter, the the stands were loaded with celebrities, right? Not only
Yeah,
ex players, but also celebrities, actual movie stars that were
yeah,
there to see the match. So
yep.
it's a great destination in Italy. We know the owners got a ton of money. If they start qualifying for some of these tournaments, they've already shown consistency in the Serie A.
Yeah.
Now, if they can consistently start qualifying for some of these tournaments in the Champions League, it's going to be very interesting to see how much they can grow and
Yeah.
how
And
quickly they
I
can
wouldn't be
continue to grow.
surprised if they go like if they do some sort of documentary series like Welcome to Wrexham. Like they could do Come to Como. Like
Yeah,
something
it's
like
gonna
that. I
be
don't know.
all hanging out on yachts.
Yeah. It's like completely different. It's like lifestyles of the rich and famous like type deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Completely different.
Mansions, yachts,
Yeah. But
the
I mean
Como life.
it's just been great to watch the race. And right now, um the craziest thing that could happen, if you ask me, is Napoli and Milan losing their next two matches and then being out of the Champions League. But I don't think it's gonna happen because Napoli got
No.
a pretty easy one coming up.
Yeah.
Um
I think
and
Milan, man. I think
Milan's got Genoa, like they're visiting Genoa, so
and
that
then
one's a
Sassuolo,
tricky
right? They
one
got Genoa and
with Genoa.
Sassuolo are the two
See,
they
and
have left.
yeah, and
Those are
Sassuolo,
two
uh,
dangerous teams,
dangerous.
especially if Milan that has been struggling in scoring goals. Like more than likely Sassuolo at least is gonna score on you.
Yeah, and
It would
then
be
Lecce
interesting to
and
see if their
Cremonese.
best if they field their best 11 though.
Yeah,
That's gonna
Lecce
be
and
interesting
Cremonese
matchups as
are
well.
facing similar challenges, right? Because Lecce playing Sassuolo away and Cremonese playing Udinese away is
Hmm.
also it's
Yeah.
kind of the same level of,
And
not the
Cremonese,
same
they
level.
didn't. Doesn't Cremonese play their last game against Como, which obviously is contending for one of those
Yes.
Champions League spots? So
Yeah.
Cremonese has the harder path to not
100%.
get relegated for sure.
Yep. Yeah.
But that can potentially be a banger of a match for the last day of the season. If both teams are still right, if Como still has a shot of getting to the Champions League,
Yeah.
obviously with for a lot of these teams, it's also going to depend the results
The
that the
other
other teams,
results. Yeah.
yeah, get. But if both of them, right, if Cremonese is still fighting to avoid relegation, and if Como still have a shot for a spot in the Champions League, it's going to be a very interesting match day, especially with some of the wild cards that they have, like Vardy, right, playing at Cremonese. That
You
you
never
never
know.
know.
Yeah.
They might show up right in the big under the big
All
spotlight,
he needs is a
right?
chance. That's the thing. All he needs is one
Yep.
chance, one good chance, and he could punish you. It's gonna be very interesting next this match days derby della capitale, like the Lazio Roma match.
Yeah, that matchup is going to be important. Also, with the fact I think the plus for Roma is that Lazio do have to play the Coppa Italia final against Inter. We
Yeah.
know that they're gonna go all out for that one because that's the only shot at getting any hardware
Correct.
this season.
Hardware
So
and
I think
European qualification too. That's
yeah.
the only
So
chance.
that's gonna be a plus for Roma for sure in their race to secure one of those Champions League spots. The fact that Lazio are gonna go all out against Inter,
Yeah, hundred
and
percent.
that they're essentially playing Inter in back-to-back matches. That's why I felt Lazio kind of was just going through the motions in that last match against Inter. They didn't really do a whole lot offensively. You could only see like Pedro and one or two other players that were actually putting in some effort.
Yeah.
The rest were like just kind of
Yeah, but
going through
also
the motions.
Romagnoli got sent off. Like that was another.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
but
that
Inter
threw
was
a
already
wrench.
already ahead right at that point, 2
Yeah, but
points. So.
1-0 is like it was like in the 20th minute or some shit. Like he got thrown out in the 20 something. Like very early. But
One
regardless.
game that we didn't talk about before wrapping up for the matches was Roma Parma,
Oh yeah,
right?
that was a
And
good
another
game.
great match. This For this match day, Malen still
Yeah.
on fire, opening things up for Roma.
Yeah.
But Parma put in a good fight. Right,
There are
Malen and
three match day. Sorry, there were three 5-goal matches in this match day, which is pretty cool.
no, it's getting intense, and I'm glad to see it again. Right, it's the end of the season, but there's still a lot to play for.
Yeah.
The teams are still going all out, trying to make the most out of their season and qualify for different tournaments or not get relegated. So, but props to Roma, they've been playing good. It's gonna be
Malen's
interesting
been playing
also to see.
incredible. One of the signings of the season, right? Like Daniel
Yeah,
Malen, you have
Malen
to
for sure.
say.
In the January window, for sure, Malen
Yeah.
hands down was the best signing in Serie A.
Yeah.
let's see if Roma can keep him long term. I think that's going to be very hard,
It's
especially
gonna
with
be hard
how
the
he's
way he's been
played since
playing.
joining.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it in another episode, but I feel if Malen would have started the season with Roma, he probably would have been the capo
Yeah,
instead
I
of
mean,
Lautaro with how many goals he scored,
absolutely.
but also with how many games Lautaro has missed. But awesome, right? And again, if he would have started the season with Roma, probably another potential candidate for the MVP of the Serie A this season. I think
Yeah.
they're definitely going to count the fact that he only joined in January against him. But if he would have had been in this form for the entire season,
Huh.
definitely top candidate for the MVP of the
Yeah,
season.
and Roma might have a few more points too, because they had serious scoring problems before they brought him in.
But I was going to say it's going to be interesting, right? To hopefully Gasperini has some longevity and Roma can continue to develop the
Yeah, he's not
squad.
going anywhere, man.
He's been solid, right? For his first season at Roma,
Yeah.
he's been solid, right? They're in a good spot. Hopefully, they can qualify for the Champions League. I think that was probably their goal
Yeah.
at the beginning of this season. So I think that would mean a successful season for Roma. Some
Yeah.
interesting facts for the match day. So Inter have kept 3 consecutive clean sheets, right? We've criticized, everybody has criticized the hell out of Sommer, right? But I've talked about the fact that it's just unrealistic expectations from the season he had last year, especially his performance in the Champions League, right?
And dude,
People
they
were
have one of
expecting the
the best
same this
defenses in
season.
the league,
But
probably.
yeah, they
You know what
have
I
one of the
mean? I
best
mean, come on.
defenses in Serie A. Sommer has been solid. I've said it before. If Inter do go for another goalkeeper to start next season, I hope that they do give the nod to Martinez and they just sign Stankovic as a backup goalkeeper and bring him back to Inter. Atalanta have won 5 of their last 6 away fixtures. The best road form team in the division,
Yeah.
so something to keep in mind
They're
for the last
dangerous.
couple of matches that they have left. Napoli have conceded in their last 8 consecutive home games, which is obviously
Damn.
a worrying pattern for a team under Antonio Conte as
What's
well, right?
happening
Because
to
we
their
know
defense?
they don't typically teams under Conte don't typically concede a lot of goals
I
or
know.
usually have a very solid,
I think he wants to leave.
dependent back line.
They're talking about him going to the national team. I think he wants to leave. He wants to leave Napoli. I'm sure. He always complaining about them
I wouldn't
selling his
honestly,
players.
as far as Italian managers, I wouldn't mind having Conte as the Italian national team coach.
I agree,
I,
but he likes
I
playing
would
that
be
three
cool with
defender
that.
system too, which sucks.
No, fuck that.
You
If
know,
that's the case, no,
that's
no.
the problem.
Uh,
That's the problem.
Cremonese this is another interesting factor. You know, Cremonese with their 3-0 victory over Pisa, that's actually their largest winning margin of the season,
Yeah, I think they
which is
scored
crazy because
three before, but they had
they were on
scored
fire.
against. Yeah,
But getting hot at the right time, right? They're literally fighting for their lives.
exactly. One
So
point behind
that's
still, but
a good stat, right? And fun fact
yeah.
for to call out for the end of the season, they definitely need it.
Yep.
Como's win at Verona extends their unbeaten run to 9 Serie A matches, right? The longest
That's
in the league right now. So
yeah.
again, consistency, that's been the name of the game from Fabregas and team, and I think a lot of
That's
it
true.
comes from their style of play and their setup.
Yeah,
And
and their
then
drop
Daniel
points have
Malen,
been draws. Like that's the thing. And they've in the last couple in this last run. But let's see. Daniel Malen, you were saying
and the last fact that Daniel Malen has now scored in 4 consecutive Serie A appearances, making
he's on
him one of the most informed
fire.
strikers in Italy, which we already knew, right? I
He's
would
on
say
fire,
there's
bro.
been more matches where he has scored than matches he hasn't scored for Roma since joining, for sure.
That's incredible.
Um,
That's a great
Again,
record.
one of the best signings in the season, hands down, the best in January.
Yeah.
And actually makes Roma a lot more entertaining to watch as well. We just hope that other players like Dybala can stay off the injury list, right, and can play consistently, so Roma can continue to improve under Gasperini. But that's it. I don't know if there was anything else that you wanted to call out, but we have some obviously some very interesting matches for the last 2 match days of the season, and we'll
Yeah.
continue to keep you guys informed. Again, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for Marco Romano with Tito Yan and Serie Addicts. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes, sir.